in Canada. And um, I might find it trouble to articulate, but
Mm.
when I'm combining symptoms, and creating a new rubric. So it's usually I do that once I've hit over three, I usually do that so my visual clears, like let's say I have five rubrics and
Yep.
I'm combining them to a new renamed one.
Yep.
I will click or unclick whichever way it works so that I can keep my originals
Yep. Yep.
because I like to cluster them in a different clipboard and go back and see it.
Yep.
But when I do that, like if I have five originally and then I create the joint one, I think I should have six here and I only have five.
Okay.
One of them vanishes into like thin air. So I've learned to copy and paste first and then do it after, but I find that a bit clunky. So
Sure.
what am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, so there's a bunch of fairly sort of similar rubrics here that we could combine to do with sort of self-control. And so you do Control A if you've got just all the ones that you want to combine. Then you can do Control Enter, which is a shortcut, or you do right click. Right click is always the way if you don't know the key command, and you go to Group or Combine, and it always tells you the key command here. So if you use a Mac, that would be Command Enter. So you go to the screen and say, Erin's correctly said you can either group them, which is assigning a letter and keeping them all in place, which starts to look messy if you have a lot of this, or you can create a new symptom. All right, and I usually get rid of the etc. Um, I think we should get rid of it anyway, personally. So yeah, there's the option to not delete the original rubrics and keep all the remedies, then combine. So what happens is you create this new one. This is your combined one, which has an asterisk there, and these are all the old ones. So let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven were created. Two, three, four, five, six, seven.
Yeah. I don't think it did it for you. I don't know. Huh.
I think I deleted one, didn't I? So that does look correct to me. So then you would do Control A again, Control click that one, and then drag these guys into their own clipboard. So you can
Yeah.
always deal with it again. You'll notice the software puts a naught here. So that's like sets the intensity of the symptom. So with naught being there, it doesn't count them basically. If you put a one there, it counts it. If you put a three there, it counts it with an added underline, underline three times essentially. So that's and a two, and you can go all the way up to nine in terms of add like changing intensity of symptoms. That looked like it worked here.
It did. It did. So I might play around and see if I can recreate it
Hmm.
in the next few days. And yeah, I don't. Okay. Well, thanks.
Oh, that's nice. It's always good to go through the combining thing. So, very often in the mind section, there can be a big long list of cross references. Like if we go to mind or Saken, there's a whole ton of cross references. Now, the way to see them quickly and easily is to just hide the remedies, which you can do with this icon here, or you can use the space bar cycles through the different options. So spacebar gives you remedies, spacebar again shows the authors, and spacebar again gets rid of all of them. So just bear that in mind. If you're seeing the repertory and thinking, where are my remedies gone? You may have pressed spacebar whilst having the repertory open. Um, so yeah, you can see there's all these cross references here. These are called synonyms and give you an idea of sort of context and different language you could use to express the same thing. And when so if you were to type the word abandoned into the search engine, it would bring you here and then it would say see forsaken feeling. So if you're coming to rubrics that are like don't have any remedies and you have, this on, but you don't see this, that means you need to have your tags on. So you might have hidden the tags. So the tags are like this key fob item here. And if you click there, you'll see the referral. And that's a really nice feature that will mean that you can type modern language and still get to the right rubric with the remedies in. So if we take, one of the things you might do if you're very, really digging into a case is you could take all these cross references and then like whittle them down to make a nice combined rubric. In this case, you probably don't need to. It's already such a big rubric. It's unlikely you really need to do that. But if we go to like a smaller one, or ooh, so this is my personal chapter. If we go to the one that expresses isolation on top of forsakenness, now that's a bit smaller, so it would make a bit more sense. So one of the things I'd really encourage you to learn is F6 is a very useful shortcut. And bear in mind that the F keys, they're designed to change things like the brightness of your screen or the volume and stuff like that. So it depends how your computer works, or if you have an external keyboard, you can change its settings to make the F keys. You can change how they work. You can change what their default is essentially. So I change it so I don't have to press the function key. I can just press F6 and it brings up this window for me. And that means you can then quickly say, I want to take all the cross references with all of them individually into the active clipboard, which is the one that has a tick. You can change the active clipboard by holding the Alt key and clicking on any clipboard you want. And that moves the tick. So that means if you're doing like a key command way to add rubrics, then that means it's good to have the active clipboard there. So I often will right click and sort them back into order. It's a feature I've asked for that is automated. When you're adding lots of rubrics, it's a shame that they get jumbled up. And I think it would be easy for us to change that functionality so that they're, just always kept in order. Be one less step. So yeah, like when you do this process, you learn quite a lot about which remedies feel the most isolated because they're the ones that are in a lot of these rubrics come up, like the milks, the mammals, um, which makes sense, because a milk or a mammal situation often comes about from not having, from the nurturing environment being taken away too early in life and setting up that core pattern of feeling, alone or isolated. Then you've got hydrogen, which isn't really like, it's a gas, it's not really in the world. So, and it's, it has one electron and one is sort of like isolation, isn't it? If you're only one, then you're alone. You haven't got a two with you. So, yeah, not so sure. Not so sure why Hammer Malus is there, but there you go. Mahesh, thank you. I'm babbling. What's your question?
Look, one thing I wanted to ask you is in Mac repertory, I've heard about a facility where you can search a term within the 3 words of another term.
Yeah,
Is there anything equivalent to in Radar?
you can. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we can come back to that if we need to. Yeah, basically, there's two different types of search window. You've got the simple search and the advanced search, and it's sort of easier to use the advanced search initially. And when we're doing this reference works style search, we want to click the A to Z, and you can do this in all documents, and that will include repertories and materia medica, which is something that reference works cannot do. It only searches in materia medica, but then the new synergy can do both like this. So if we put it to all documents, and our first word might be stitching, then you press tab or enter twice, and then the next word might be Nate's. And then here we click and we define the word wrap, so within 4 words, and then you search. And then we see everything here. There's repertories, materia medica, proving, clinical cases. And then the way to see the results quickly is to click this little icon, and that makes a graph of your search results. So this indicates how many times the search criteria was found. So loricerasis, it was found in many documents. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's more indicated. It just means that it can just mean that the same authors or different authors have like referenced the same source text, and that there's multiple copies of the same thing essentially. So you don't need to take that as a like value really. And then you can go on, you can do a second search. So if you click here, you've got a second search available, and you could do your next search, which could be
Suffocation in 3 words of cancer.
there's not very many there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something. And then this is something you need to be aware of. It's a problem in any software that's doing this. This is you know, it's just a list, yeah. So it's not really showing it contextually. Same here. It's showing that this is the only one, but it's still, yeah, it's just showing that both actually it's just a fear. So it gives you the ballpark, but then you can click on the graph and it will compile. So any that are in both would come up. It just so happens that none of them are in both in this case.
And also, look, where can I get the link to all the previous sessions?
Link to all the previous sessions. If you go to in RadarOpus, go to help,
Okay.
then go to Learning Center and videos.
Oh, okay.
That will open here. Go to all videos, and they'll be at the top.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely. Thank you very much, Luke.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
There's one last caveat to this sort of search style thing. If I do another search, when you want to specify one word or another word, you can't currently do that in the advanced search. You can do it in the simple search, but it becomes like a bit more of a, you have to learn a bit of kind of code essentially. So you have to start with a bracket, and you would do like a morning um, so for example, when the dollar sign gives you the symbol for a word wrap, and then you specify a number that all 3 words should be found within, say, 8 words of each other in this context. And once you've learned it, right? But when you do, when you do a search like that, and you want to specify something like sensation or dream or fear, you can do it in RadarOpus, but you have to use this simple search window instead. And I've tried, there's quite a lot of different. It'll take a while to do that search.
Where is this more useful, Luke? This kind of search where you put that kind of a coding with a bracket and a dollar sign?
Yeah, it's more useful. Well, it's if you want to specify one word or another word is the main one, but because you can't currently do that in the advanced search. So in that case, it becomes like a bit of a thing. You have to do two brackets, and then you would do like sensation or fear or dream, then close bracket, and then an open bracket for the next thing of flying, and two to close, like that. So essentially, each like word is bracketed, and then the whole thing's bracketed again. And it's yeah, it's not great at the moment in terms of ease of use. I did actually make a bunch of presets. So they're in my any search that you ever make, you can save by clicking the disk icon. Okay. So if you're making a search often, you can do that, and then you can recall them at any time. So I thought, oh, I'll make some options. So in this context, like I've set up the code that you need. So I just double click there, type sensation or dream of flying, and then I could just delete that if I don't need it. And that sort of makes it a bit easier then. But yeah, that's how you do it. If you're not worried about one word or another word, then just use the advanced search, and it's much easier. So yes, Tammy, let's have your question next, and then we'll come to John's, which is on the chat.
I was just curious if there's a way when you're in the rubrics and looking at the remedies list there, can you click on it and some way get to where it's referenced? Like I know you can see the authors, but can you actually see the reference so that you can find the context right from there of how it fits?
The functionality does exist, and it's one of the things that's like in synthesis, not in any other repertory. And so if you go to a rubric, and it tends to be only like recently added stuff that we've done so far. And yeah, not to blow my own trumpet too much, but a lot of this work I did in the past few years. And by searching for things in the RadarOpus library and then making additions. So you have to make an addition from the exact location in some kind of materia medica. So you see here, lac caprinum is in the rubric for isolation, and the reference comes from homeopathic links, and there's an underline. So if I double click on it, it will take me to the text where it comes from and show you the original source. And if you click there, it will take you to the actual document if you own it. And then you can see, it's fairly transparent. I've just repertorized that part of the case straight into synthesis. And so, yeah, sometimes with a
So
big,
it's the underlined ones.
yeah, it's the underlined ones, but it's a very partial representation so far. It'd be a massive job to go back through some of the more classical editions,
Yeah, for sure.
and link them to their materia medica. So if you ever felt like you wanted to help out with that, please get in touch.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So John's question, which I'll come to now. How about a couple of examples, searching cases, chapters, and pathologies? Sure. So when you're doing this, you want to use the advanced search, which is accessible here. Or if you're a shortcut person, you can do F4 for simple and F5 for advanced search. And you'll see with the advanced search, it guides you into the possibilities. So you can, in this section here, you can search for a pathology, for example, apoplexy. And once you start typing, you'll see these are the kind of like tags that exist in the database. So it all depends how much you've got in your library. A lot of this comes from journals. So if you don't have a big library, you won't find anything, unfortunately. But here's a little case of an apoplectic stroke where lachesis was used from a journal. So yeah, if you're sort of struggling with the usual tools, this is something you could refer to. Yeah, hi John.
Yeah, I think that's what my problem is. I don't have a big library.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you know, you could you could
I
sort
could
of
buy more.
one thing you could do to like test it is to speak with your representative and say, "Hey, can I have like a month's full access?" And then you'll be able to test and see like what you want, and then on the proviso that you're going to buy something at the end of it. I think it's fair enough. Yeah. Up to you though. But yeah, that does depend quite a lot on having a big Materia Medica library. Chapters, you can search for a chapter. The ones that are like in all caps are usually like synthesis. So let's say you wanted to specifically look in the fever chapter and search for a remedy, like see what sulfur has, type the abbreviation, press enter twice, and again to do the search. And I probably should have set the AC. So if you do that and you search in all documents, it will pull out everything that has that particular chapter written. So not just the repertories, but the Materia Medica as well. So that is pretty nice. You could do more than one, I think, as well. So let's do chill. Chill chapter. See what happens now. And then let's see, from Henriette, can I find the bowel nosodes and more about them in RadarOpus? Yeah, let's have a look. So it's done the same thing. I think you might have to click there with at least one of these sections. That's okay. Yeah. Cool. So that's a little whistle stop into cases, chapters, pathologies. It works very well if you're combining a remedy search with a chapter, I would say. And remember, this eraser icon is useful to just clear the decks. So bowel nosodes, we don't have loads. We have Patterson is available. Not sure which Materia Medica library that is in, but I could check real quick. I think Boric has no, he has the tissue salts, doesn't he? Bowel nosodes are here. So this is the original kind of source text. Well, it's not bark, but yeah, as far as I'm aware, this is pretty close to the source. And what you could do if you have this book is open it, and then you can perform a search just in that book. So you could say like anything to do with the brain. Set to search in all documents now, so it's going to take a little while. Oh, that was quick. Good. We'll change that to current document.
You can also add bowel nosodes into the families.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
where I usually find them all.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, so they're here. There's a repertory of bowel nosodes that shows which remedies they're related to. So if I'm thinking about prescribing Kali carb, I go to families, it will have bowel nosodes that relate well to Kali carb. So Bacillus number 7, Fecalis, Morgan Gärtner, Morgan Pure. And if you click there, it will show the other related remedies for that bowel nosode. And then, if you want to find out more about that remedy, you would go to this document, or you just click on the remedies and type Morgan Pure, right click on it, and then you can search for it in all the documents. And then you'll see there's rubrics for it. And there's a bit of Materia Medica, but it depends again. So actually, Vermeulen has something on it. So Vermeulen's probably the book to buy if you want easy access to the battle nodes. Yes. And so, Erin, is that a new question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could show one time the shortcut to grabbing all the synonyms at once.
Oh yeah.
You did it for isolation, and thank you.
Yeah, so for grabbing all the cross references, you do F6. If you haven't changed
Okay.
over your F buttons, you do function F6, and that opens the window. So F6. Then you click there, take all the cross references. And if you want to tinker with them, take them all individually and then decide which clipboard they're going to go in. Just clipboard 3, and then they all go in there. And then often I sort them. Double clicking on a tab header makes the table of contents hide, which gives you more space. And then say, right, it's to do with isolation. And so could be despise, alone, separated, estranged, isolated. Then I might, friendless. Yeah. Then I might drag those away and then group those. And then I can right click and just clear that clipboard. So I'm not using that now. And that would that's a nice way of like filtering and choosing the ones you want.
Thank you. That's what I missed the first time, what I needed twice. Thank you.
Nice. You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one question.
Yes.
When we search any remedy in a advanced search, we usually means if it is a polycrest remedy, we usually see 10 to 15,000 symptoms in the
Yep.
synthesis add-on.
Yep.
Is there any way to condense that information and still get the complete picture or something like in a 200 or 300 symptom if we get a complete picture?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yes, it is. So we're in synthesis. We go to the search window, we type our remedy, we set it to the current document only. And as you said, we've got 13,000 rubrics. If you click on this little blue circle, the arrow, it opens this remedy extraction options window. And there you can specify, there's two ways to do it. The first way is to remove degree 1 and degree 2. So you're only seeing clinically confirmed symptoms. So press OK. Search in the current document only. So you're down to 2,000 like that. And you're seeing the sort of the genius symptoms there.
Okay.
Then
where do we click for that?
This little arrow there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
then
you
of
so much.
course you can then like decide exactly which chapters you want to look in. So you could do like mind generals, for example, and then everything else.
Okay, sir.
The other way you can do it is to find the rubrics that relate to aphorism 153, which is the strange, rare, and peculiar. So in that case, we want to see all the possible degrees. We click here and we set this to the following option. And if you leave it at 1, that would be like finding the single drug rubrics. But you can also set it to like 5 or 6 or 12 or whatever you want. But if we set it to 1, we find the single drug rubrics of Postula like that.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hello, Luke. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Caroline Wendy Vors. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I was having a bit of a problem just getting connected.
Right.
I've got a few questions actually, but they're not really specific to do with how you use the software as such.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I've contacted you before, and I've had a problem finding a proper agent in France.
Hmm.
I can actually deal with. I mean, there are various issues about dealing with people in France sometimes. Um, However, I'm looking really for the veterinary software.
Hmm.
So I want to ask you if you've now developed the software specifically for the animals.
Hmm. Well, the first part of it is that synthesis, our main repertory, has a lot of vet additions. So you see with the little dog symbol shows that it's the veterinary edition of synthesis,
Okay.
which means that we saw actually in that search of pulsatilla there were a load of veterinary symptoms there. So anything with
Okay.
a V comes from a vet source. In
Right.
this case, so that's the author, and the V shows that it's a vet rubric.
Veterinary rubric.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think in the synthesis views, you can change it to only vet sources
Ah,
like
fantastic.
that,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a veterinary repertory only.
Okay. Okay. So
Uh,
how well developed is this?
yeah, it's been in development for 30 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
More. So there's a core group of vets that make additions. Mark Bear
Okay.
is the main one, but you'll see these other people are also making contributions. So yeah, there's quite a lot in there. And in the UK, most of the vets use synthesis for that reason. And then
Okay.
you do have so Mark Bear has made this veterinary concepts. So concepts like give you links to rubrics essentially.
Okay.
And so if I click here, it will show me the rubrics that you would use. Yeah. If an animal's biting his paw, you would go to biting fingers.
Okay. Yeah.
Designed to
Okay.
make it a bit easier to find.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Oh, I see. So I could just use this all the time. I did try to download the free trial um software, but I wasn't
yeah.
able to do it for some reason. I don't know if I could try again.
Which part of the process were you having trouble with? Actually downloading the installer or something else?
Ah, well, maybe that's where I went wrong. I mean, it just seemed to download in lots of different separate files
Hmm. Do you mean install into separate files or download?
onto my PC. Yeah, just
Yeah.
lots of separate files.
Yeah, there should be an icon on the desktop which you double click to open it.
Yeah.
But it normally does create several files. Yeah, like a folder called RadarOpus, and then within that there's an application, which any
Right.
application on PC has .exe after it,
Okay.
as in executable file. So you execute the
Right.
file by double clicking on it.
Oh, I see. So you have to do that individually
Yeah, I
on
mean,
each file.
no, just on the RadarOpus. Let me show you. So you can add it to your taskbar like I've done
Yeah.
there, or it often comes up. It creates this kind of thing, a shortcut on your desktop.
Yeah.
Well, this is my desktop, and
Yeah.
then it in the document. No, sorry, in the this PC
Yeah.
in your main C drive, it creates its own folder like this,
Okay.
and then within that, there's the RadarOpus.exe.
Okay.
And so, yes, it's not that easy to find. It should have made a shortcut on your desktop. If you right click it, you can add it to pin to the start, add to favorites, or you can drag and drop it onto your taskbar, I think,
Right.
normally.
Okay.
But I think it's already there, so it didn't let me.
Okay. 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 So how can I download this again then to see if I can do this again, Luke?
You go to radaropus.com,
Okay.
you go to download,
Okay.
support, download, and then follow the instructions there.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, that's it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will I will have a go at that. Thank you.
So let's just go back here. So Henriette, yes, synoptic reference, it's called these days. Synoptic Materia Medica 1 and 2 are like you can't get them anymore because they were from a previous publisher and he's moved on to a different publisher and he rewrote them, called them. He compiled Synoptic Materia Medica 1 and 2 into a new volume called Synoptic Reference. And since then, he's added more like a new volume called Synoptic Reference 2. So that there's a lot of confusion with that. We carry Synoptic Reference 1, which is a compilation of Synoptic Materia Medica 1 and 2. Okay. That's the only one that we sell now. But it is available and it's very useful. Okay, from Rachel, can you repeat what the grades of remedies mean in synthesis? You just mentioned that grade 3 and 4 are clinically confirmed. Different repertories have different meanings. Sure. So synthesis it's the same as Kent, but it adds one extra value, which is bold underlined, essentially. So plain type means that it's seen in approving or occasionally in a case. Grade 2 means that it's been seen in multiple provers or several cases. Grade 3 means it's a genius symptom of the remedy, clinically confirmed multiple times. And grade 4 is like, um, you know, I guess an added level of verification. I'm pretty sure there's a video that Frederick made about this subject. So let me find that for you, and you can, if you want to know more from the horse's mouth from Dr. Schroyens, we'll find it. So I've just gone to the Academy. Click on all videos. And let's see. Degrees. There it is. Okay, so that's a video about the degrees in synthesis. I think that's helpful. So Henriette, Mark Baer's contributions to synthesis are, I think for most people who've upgraded to Synthesis Adonis will have the vet edition. So they'll be in your repertory marked by that V. But yeah, to have the concepts, the veterinary concepts is a separate thing, I believe. If you click on the shop icon in your program, you can open the shop. And then let's see. So that's Ken Jensen. I'm not 100% sure on the vet concepts at the moment. Check. Let's do that. Okay. Let's go back to the Zoom window. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Not sure where it's gone. Good. Well, we've got a little bit longer. Looks like the questions have run out on the chat. So if anyone has been waiting and has a question, now's the opportunity.
I've got a question, Luke, if no one
Yeah.
else wants to ask.
Go on.
Yeah. Sorry, can we just go right back to the beginning
Yeah.
and just show me how you find the remedies? Okay. So for example, let's say I'm looking for some remedies that
Yeah.
are going to disintegrate fatty lumps in the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the disposition of the person or the animal is gentle. The lumps can be soft and hard.
Right. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. So this is a veterinary case, is it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
right back to the
So,
beginning,
yeah.
if you don't mind.
Oh, come on. There we go. Got confused there.
Right. So take me through it.
So you tell me the symptoms first, and then we'll do it.
Okay. Well, are we already in the veterinary section here?
I just created a patient file because I couldn't remember everything you were saying, and I wanted to be able to refer back to it.
Right. Okay. So
So, just something
fatty
that,
lumps,
yeah,
fatty lumps in the body.
like lipomas.
Yeah, soft and hard.
Yeah,
Gentle disposition.
yeah.
That will do.
Okay, fine. So yeah, I would use synthesis is the main repertory, and so gentle disposition is quite easy. That's yielding. So go to mind. Sorry, I'm going too fast.
Yeah.
So open the repertory. So to do that, you click on the repertory icon here.
Yeah.
You choose synthesis, which if you've bought a small package, that will be maybe one of the only repertories there. So you double click on it to open it. Then to search in the mind chapter, you can either use the search tool up here, or you can open the repertory and type M for mind, then Y for yielding, and then you drag that to your clipboard. Not sure if there is gentle, so we'll have a look.
Okay.
Gentleness goes to mildness would be another option.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
mildness could be used, perhaps in combination with yielding.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just group those real quick. And then fatty lumps, I would have searched for lipoma,
Okay.
which is not there. So let's see what we can find. So this is more to do with fat food,
Mm.
fatty liver, stool,
Mm.
fatty or greasy.
Mm.
So their growths, tumors, fatty. Let's see what that has. Lipoma.
Okay.
Okay. Not sure why I didn't find
Oh,
lipoma this
LI.
time.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. That's dragged to the clipboard too. And that's your repertorization essentially.
Okay. So these numbers in these boxes here,
Yeah.
what does all this mean?
So that's the sequence of the remedies. So this one's in the first position, second, third, fourth, based on their
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
The next number shows that they each have two symptoms.
Okay.
This one I combined, so it counts as one. Let me just make that more clear. Do this. So yeah, so that means it's in both the symptoms. And then the
Yeah.
score is made up of the number of symptoms plus the added degrees. So
What do
you've
you
got,
mean by degrees?
this is degree 2 and that's degree 3. It's like a level of clinical confirmation.
Okay.
So when you add up the degrees, you get 5. And when you add up the degrees here, you get 4. So that's why Thuya comes out on top, because
Yeah.
it's in both symptoms and both of them are clinically confirmed strongly.
Okay.
Calcarea and all these others. Then there's this little group that add up to 4, and then this group that add up to 3,
3.
and these that add up to 2.
Okay, so what's the total number of degrees that you can get in any possibility?
It goes up to 4.
Goes up to 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
you would go back to your patient and you would click on the remedy bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't like it because I haven't created a proper patient file. And then you would select your remedy, select your potency, and that would be it. Then you click the disk icon to save.
Okay, so when you're talking about selecting potency,
Yeah.
does the system do that for you, or do you do that yourself?
No, you need to use your training and knowledge to decide the
Yeah,
potency.
that's fine. Yeah, good. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it, but it's good to look at the basics like that. Yeah. So the next stage on from there is to, you investigate each remedy as an option. So if you double click,
Sure. Sure.
it
Yeah.
opens the keynotes page,
Yeah.
and you can set what you want as your keynotes. So I've got this list here. Vermeulen's like the main one that opens first, and then these are like your top pick materia medicas,
Right.
and
Okay.
they come up first. Then you can read up on the remedy, see if it fits overall,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
say, okay, let me check the next one. Double click, open burrito carb. Let's check burrito carb. Does this fit? Yeah, maybe that fits a bit better. Then you might say, okay, I want to search for burrito carb in all the repertories now
Yeah.
to get a bit of added confirmation, and add the word
Hmm.
lipoma, and then see exactly what lipoma's burrito carb has. So it's particularly in the thighs there. Benign. Murphy has it on the neck. Okay. And then you might do the same. Say, okay, I'm going to search Thuya now for lipoma in the repertories. So they're tougher,
Oh, yeah.
tougher lipoma.
Okay. So the more of the more
So
of
for
the
the harder
rubrics.
ones, you might be
Right.
looking more at Thuya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a question here from Tammy.
Yeah, I was just wondering, can you set your preferred keynotes? Because like on mine, only the Archibald comes up, and I have like a whole bunch on the side that I could look at.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if I can set that so that they come up. I can choose right there on that screen when I'm looking at keynotes.
Yeah, correct. So you click on the references icon, opens the list. You click on this the preferences icon, the little cogwheel. You click on quick reference, and then any ones that have a tick are my quick references. If I wanted to add like a new one, I would type the name of the author up here. So say Farouk Master, and I want to add something here like treatment in cancer, treatment of acute. What's this one? Influenza, COVID-19. So I add all those, and then I do use selected documents. And unfortunately, on my PC, this window's really small, but they will be down the bottom somewhere. There they are. And then you can drag and drop the ones that you want, the order you want them to be in. So that I can drop down. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of work to do to make it user friendly. When you're first doing it and you've got like 4 or 5, it's more manageable, and it might look different on your computer. I've got mine set a certain way. So that's the process, and that's done now. And so next time I open a remedy from a repertorization or from any place in the program, I did not know Calculus had that side to it. Then I've got those in here as well now. And
Okay,
obviously,
thank you.
not all of them will have Materia Medica on every remedy, but see, if I open lanthanides now, there'd be nothing there, obviously. But if I open Prisma, there would be something.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we've got Aaron question here. Sometimes I find a rubric that is perfect, but it has no remedies and no synonyms listed. Is there a way I can use this rubric at all? Right. That's so no cross references, no synonyms or anything. Have you got an example?
Yeah. I wish next time I'll be prepared with examples. These
Yeah.
are popping into my head. No, I don't at the top of my, sorry, usually in the mind, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just sometimes it's just such a beautiful fit. And I think, oh, that's the one, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Which, yeah, any that are like empty should have
Yeah.
the synonym there, as long as you have
Okay.
the tags.
Yeah. I do always have my tags open. I really enjoy that feature. I find it useful.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luke, I will, I can hunt, I can poke through and hunt for an example
Yeah,
at,
have a look.
yeah.
There are like empty symptoms, and it
Mm,
seems that quite often it's the vets that have added them in anticipation that they might like need it at some point.
that might be partly what I'm finding. Okay. I'll hunt for an example maybe, but
Yeah, they should be fairly few and far between.
yeah, they are. They are.
The
Yeah.
sort of thing
Just
I
in
would,
that moment of aha, I've got
yeah,
it's a very
got it. Yeah,
frustrating thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I'll see if I can find an example, but
yeah, good. Um, cool, cool. Okay, Henriette, is there anywhere in the program that I can get help to see the contraindicated remedies? Okay. The main way to see contraindications is, as far as I know, is from using polarity analysis, which is Heine Fry's technique where you repertorize with modalities from the Boninghausen pocketbook. And that is a add-on that you can put into your RadarOpus. I use it a lot, especially in acutes, and you basically send the checklist to the patient, they mark their modalities on it, and you repertorize with that. And it has an ingenious kind of way of helping you see possible contraindications. Um, so it's a method where say the patient is, they have influenza and they want the window open. So, you would look for draft of air ameliorates. But if the remedy had a like draft of air aggravates in a bold symptom, that would be a contraindication. Is that sort of what you're wondering, what you're asking about? I've just got some tinnitus in my right ear. I can try that, shouldn't I? Right. Yeah, okay. Let me show you an example then. So this is the polarity analysis repertory by Heinefein. And what I usually do, I'll open it and then I open a search window and you can do the ag symbol and then it turns it into ag. And then you could say like air, for example, and it will search just in that document. And then I often do a second search, do the ML, so like warm. And you can see like these yin yang symbols show that they're a polar symptom, and those can be used to see contraindications. So here we could do ag in the open air. So I just drag that into the clipboard, and they're ameliorated from warm air in general, warmth in general, and then they're aggravated by stooping, and they're better for eating. So they're better whilst eating and after eating. So now when I click that clipboard, the program automatically does a calculation and finds the one with the biggest polarity difference, which is spigelia. So spigelia covers all the symptoms and it doesn't have any contraindications down here. So it has the highest score. Next is chelidonium, which is missing from this symptom. But petroleum, for example, is worse after eating in a bold type. And it's a male after eating only in plain type. So let me just unhighlight. So actually petroleum we would not consider, lacosis we would not consider, silica, oculus, china. So those are the ones that would go based on the fact they have a contraindication down here. And any of the others would be more applicable. And you could do that as a secondary repertorization of a regular one to rule out certain candidates. And yes, so there's one last question from Tammy. And before that, I just want to remind everybody that there will be a free webinar coming up soon. It's going to be 29th of April, and it's going to be me and Michael Yakir talking about her work on the plants and, you know, hopefully talking about some cases and some approaches to using it. And this is something that we'll be emailing you about soon, to let you know. And we have her repertory available, and that will be on offer as well at the same time with a discount. So it includes her work on the non-flowering plants like Lycopodium and Thuya, for example. And it also has all the flowering plants in it. And within each section, if we go to column 1, there's like you know, each rubric has a flag which gives you information about what the columns mean and what they relate to. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you there. The link for registration for that webinar will be coming tomorrow. Okay, so Tammy, last question
Yeah,
to you. Hey.
just back to that Heiner Fry program.
Yeah.
So is it when you're using that, is it just you're doing the modalities of just one specific symptom, or are you taking like the whole case into account?
Yeah, so you take the whole case into account, but not in this repertorization. So
Okay.
in this repertorization, you're going to look only at the modalities, and that's because they have, well, there's several reasons which he talks about in his book, but well, one reason is that they're very dynamic symptoms. They involve the whole body. So they're valuable symptoms from a homeopathic perspective. They show where the vital force is responsive in one way or another. Um, and so, yeah, they're high value symptoms. And the grading in Boninghausen's pocketbook is done so that it expresses the genius of each symptom. So like Spigelia is really very much worse during stooping. It's one of the like keynotes, if you like.
Oh, okay. So basically
Grade.
for any symptom, it's a very big modality, basically.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Because their theory is that if the modality affects one area of the body, it affects all the areas of the body, correct?
yeah. His idea was that if you enough people took a sort of low potency proving of Spigelia, it would bring out the modality in every part of the body based on each individual's constitution. So everyone has a different set of affinities. Like mine would be digestive. So that's my weak area. I would develop symptoms there. Someone who's a migraine sufferer would develop symptoms in the head. But the more dynamic properties, like modalities and sensations, more belong to the remedy. And so, you know, that's the idea. And
Thank you.
using this system is good because it makes you collect modalities. You will, you know, you either send the checklist to the patient, you can download that from Heiner Fry's website, or or you run through it with the patient, and it gets you some really like useful, reliable information to work with. So yeah, with Heiner Fry, I would, you know, check out his website. Think you can basically say this is I save the page here. This is his page with the tools. So it's this one, checklist reliable symptoms. The chat. you can send that link to any patient and just give them a bit of guidance. So it does actually give a bit of guidance at the top of that PDF, but you can say, I want you to mark the modalities that are most noticeable to you, most intense, and then send them back in a list or